Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. Today, we are looking at Tamiya's classic 1/48 scale Focke-Wulf Fw-190D-9. In this video, I'm going to be giving a little bit of the history of the Focke-Wulf 190D-9. I'm going to look at what comes in the box with this kit. I'm also going to be giving my construction notes and the colors and markings that I used on this kit. And finally, I'll be giving my conclusions and what I think of Tamiya's Fw-190D-9. This is Tamiya's kit number 61041, and this kit is still readily available on eBay and other online sources. Aftermarket parts used in this build were AeroMaster's decal sheet number 48-722, Eduard pre-painted photo etch seatbelts, and wheels from an Eduard Fw-190. Focke-Wulf history. The Focke-Wulf Fw-190D-9 was the first production version of the Fw-190 series to use the 1,750 horsepower Jumo 213 liquid-cooled inverted V12 engine in place of the BMW 801 radial engine of the previous Focke-Wulf 190s. Its development was started in response to an RLM request for a high-altitude version of the Fw-190. The prototype was based on the Fw-190A airframe, which was stretched to accommodate the longer Jumo engine, giving it a more streamlined shape. The use of the annular radiator in front of the engine gave the D9 a rounded nose profile that was unique among inline engine fighters of World War II. It was first flown in the winter of 1941. After a series of prototypes, the Fw-190D-9 began production in June of 1944. It went into combat with the 3 JG-54 Greenhearts in September of 1944 at Aachen, Germany, as top cover for the Messerschmitt Me-262 fighters then entering service. The high-altitude performance of the D9 was still inferior to the Allied fighters ranged against it, like the P-51 and the P-47 Thunderbolt. However, at lower altitudes, the Fw-190 was formidable. Realizing its high-altitude shortcomings, the Germans used the D9 at lower levels, earning it the nickname of the downstairs maid. The first real high-altitude fighter produced by Focke-Wulf was the TA-152. It was an entirely new design, despite its outward similarity to the Fw-190D series of fighters. The kit. The Fw-190D-9 was originally released in the mid-1990s. It was criticized by the Luftexperten for its undersized tires, D13 wing, short main landing gear, and enclosed wheel wells. And these were carried over from their Fw-190A kits. While these faults made it unbuildable to some, the kit was not entirely without merit. On the plus side, the parts were well molded with crisp engraved detail. The clear parts were of good quality. There were 2 canopy options. Markings were included for 3 aircraft, and the fit of the parts was excellent. The kit decals were on the thick side and, in my example, had wrinkled on the backing paper, probably due to moisture and years of storage. Because of this, I bought a set of AeroMaster decals and decided to give them a try. The only other problem with this kit I couldn't live with was the lowrider look of the main landing gear. In an effort to fix this, I replaced the Tamiya's undersized wheels with a set of Focke-Wulf 190 wheels from an Eduard kit. Construction. Construction began with painting and detailing the cockpit. Polyscale RLM 66, thinned with Future, was applied first. I brush painted the cockpit details and gave the interior a thin, black, soapy water wash. Once the wash had dried, I dry brushed the interior with a slightly lighter shade of gray. I added the Eduard photo etch seatbelt for the pilot's seat, then closed up the fuselage, which fit perfectly. Next, I glued the upper wings to the fuselage before attaching the lower wing. While this yielded a nice upper wing to fuselage join, the upper and lower wings required putty in the cannon area. To facilitate sanding, I removed the wing cannons and drilled holes to locate them later. Several sessions of adding putty, Mr. Surfacer, and sanding followed. As the final step in preparation for paint, I added the canopy. The kit canopy was multi-part, allowing me to tack it in place for painting and open it later. The clear parts were dipped in Future prior to assembly. I then used Tamiya tape to mask the clear parts. Colors and markings. Since I had no photo of the plane I modeled, I used the nicely printed AeroMaster instructions as a painting and marking guide. I chose to model Oberster Lieutenant Walter Radner's Dora 9 of 7JG26. Radner flew Brown 10 from the Nordhorn Kloschheide airfield in Germany during 1945. It wears a standard RLM 75, 82, 76 scheme with black and white Defense of the Reich bands and spiraled spinner. All paints used in this build were polyscale acrylics. RLM 66 was sprayed on the canopy framing first, followed by RLM 02 on the gear doors and landing gear. The RLM 75, 82, and 76 were added in several painting and masking sessions. At this point, I used pastels to emphasize panel lines and dirty the airframe up a bit. I added structural detail to the Dora 9 by using pastels to highlight the underlying stringers, etc. I tried to keep things subtle, adding just enough shading to enhance detail. I used a reference book to locate the stringers, bulkheads, etc. I then sealed everything with a coat of Future in preparation for decals. The AeroMaster decals were wonderful. They went down without drama and responded well to microsol. The markings were correct and in register. I had a little bit of difficulty getting the fuselage bands to conform to the compound curves of the fuselage. I needed to make relief cuts with a razor blade and touch up the bands with paint once they were dry. As a modeler with some experience, I should have known to just paint the bands. After weathering the decals, I gave the plane a final flat clear coat. The landing gear and other fiddly bits were added at this time. I added the Eduard Fw-190 wheels, positioning them as far down on the axles as I could. Between the larger diameter of the Eduard wheels and the careful positioning, I was able to mostly cure the lowrider look of the kit parts. Final detailing was then completed. Conclusions. I'm very happy with the end result. When I started this kit, I was looking for a quick, pain-free build, and Tamiya's Fw-190D-9 delivered. With a simple replacement of the kit wheels, the sit of the model, the most visible of the kit's flaws, was greatly improved. I'm quite sure that no one who sees it on the shelf will ever notice the Tamiya's other fatal flaws. I would recommend the Tamiya Fw-190D-9 to any modeler save the Luftexperten. Tamiya's Fw-190D-9 would be a great first 1/48 scale aircraft build for somebody looking to kind of break into that scale. As far as the AeroMaster decals and Eduard pre-painted seatbelts, they were a breeze to use and they look great. I look forward to using them again. I would love to know if anyone out there has built this kit and would like to share their experience with it. Please feel free to post in the comment section below. I hope you found this video entertaining and informative. And until next time, model on.